Welcome to today's Explainer. If you've been following the fast-moving, high-stakes world of Indian politics, you already know that the state of Maharashtra rarely has a quiet day. And right now, we are watching a massive political crisis unfold literally in real time, involving the Shiv Sena UBT, or the Uddhav Balasaheb Thackeray faction. We're talking serious allegations of poaching, missing members of parliament, and some incredibly furious press conferences. In this Explainer, we're going to break down exactly what is happening, what the parliamentary math looks like, and what both sides are saying, while strictly sticking to the facts on the ground without taking any sides whatsoever. Okay, let's dive into this.
So we really gotta ask, is history repeating itself? Just 4 years ago, Maharashtra went through this seismic political shakeup that completely rewired the power structure in the state. Now here we are in June 2026, and those exact same fault lines seem to be cracking wide open again. To really understand the sheer magnitude of what's happening right now with these missing MPs, we need to untangle a pretty chaotic web of events, legal rules, and fiery political rhetoric.
Here's our roadmap for today's Explainer. We'll cover history repeats itself, the missing 6 MPs, decoding the numbers game, allegations and verbal sparring, and finally, the impending political fallout.
Section 1. History repeats itself. 60 years of the Shiv Sena.
You know, the Shiv Sena was founded way back in 1966 by Bala Thackeray, and it was really built on this aggressive regional identity politics. But internal strife, that is not new to them. If we jump to 2022, we see the first massive earthquake. Eknath Shinde engineered a split that brought down the ruling Mahavikas Aghadi government, which actually forced Uddhav Thackeray to resign as chief minister. Shinde's faction eventually claimed the official party name and symbol. Fast forward to today, 2026, and this is why there's such a heavy sense of déjà vu. The ghost of 2022 has absolutely returned, but this time it's threatening Uddhav Thackeray's Lok Sabha MPs.
Moving to Section 2. The missing 6 MPs. The Delhi meeting.
To really grasp the urgency of this current crisis, you have to understand the concept of a whip. In parliamentary politics, a whip is a strict, formal written order. It is definitely not a polite invitation, it's a direct command. The UBT faction's Lok Sabha leader Arvind issued a whip for an urgent meeting at their parliament office in New Delhi at 11 a.m. A show cause notice was drafted, which basically means failing to show up carried some very serious legal and political weight.
So what actually went down at that 11 a.m. meeting? Well, it's the story of a party in total crisis. The UBT faction has 9 Lok Sabha MPs in total. Despite the formal whip, despite the emails, and despite the WhatsApp messages sent to every single one of them, only 3 MPs showed up. Just Arvind Sawant, Anil Desai, and Rajabhau Wajay. The other 6? Nowhere to be found. In fact, senior leaders reported that their phones were completely switched off and they were entirely not reachable. Almost immediately, rumors started swirling that these 6 were actually in Delhi to meet with Eknath Shinde and his son Shrikant Shinde.
Section 3. Decoding the numbers game. The 2/3 rule.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the exact breakdown of the factions. Out of a total of 9 MPs, only 3 attended to support Uddhav Thackeray, leaving those 6 missing or rebellious. And guys, this isn't just a random assortment of numbers. In the high-stakes context of Indian parliamentary rules, these specific numbers strictly dictate whether a group of politicians are legally recognized as a brand new party faction or if they're just going to get disqualified for defecting.
That 6-to-3 ratio is absolutely critical. It brilliantly illustrates the legal tightrope these politicians are walking right now. Under the anti-defection rules, at least 2/3 of a party's MPs are required to form a separate group without getting disqualified. Well, 6 out of 9 is exactly 2/3. This means if these 6 missing MPs hold together, they have the precise parliamentary math required to legally merge with Eknath Shinde's camp without losing their seats. Literally, if just one of those 6 had attended the UBT meeting, the whole dissident group would fall short of that threshold. It is a razor-thin mathematical margin.
Section 4. Allegations and verbal sparring. The rhetoric heats up. All right, the biggest and most explosive claim coming from the Uddhav Thackeray camp right now is entirely financial. UBT Rajya Sabha MP Sanjay Raut publicly alleged that anywhere between 15 and 50 crore rupees were being offered to individually buy these MPs to switch sides. He even took to social media, posting the phrase "Apna Sapna Money Money," calling the alleged bribes shocking and disgusting. Now, it's really important to note here that the Shinde camp fiercely denies these allegations, and we are simply reporting the claims being thrown around in this political crossfire. It's also fascinating to see how both sides are branding this whole event. The Uddhav camp, specifically leader Priyanka Chaturvedi, has labeled this Operation Betrayal, claiming that honesty is literally being bought and sold in Maharashtra. Meanwhile, the Shinde camp is running with a completely different narrative. Shinde faction MLC Chandrakant Raghuvanshi enthusiastically called it Operation Tiger, claiming the MPs are simply expressing their confidence in Eknath Shinde's leadership and that they're welcoming them with open arms.
The frustration from the UBT camp definitely boiled over into a highly charged press conference in New Delhi. Sanjay Raut addressed the media and, well, he didn't hold back. He used some heavy profanity and explicitly told reporters not to censor his words. He stated, "These people are Be'eman, or traitors, and Be'emani is in their blood." His colleagues defended this really emotional outburst by citing his 50 years in public life, but the sheer severity of that language really shows you just how deep the panic and the anger runs within their party ranks right now.
But to make sure we're looking at this impartially, let's hear the immediate response from the Shinde faction. Shiv Sena MP Naresh Moske fired right back at Raut's explosive language, asking, does he even understand the law? Moske's main argument here is that if the MPs actually have the numbers to legally leave the party under that two-thirds rule we talked about, there is no need for threats or abuse. He emphasizes that everyone knows the rules here, which clearly frames the split not as a betrayal but as a completely legitimate, rule-abiding parliamentary maneuver.
Let's move to Section 5 and see how this builds. The impending political fallout. What happens next?
So, what are the actual procedural steps happening behind closed doors right now? Step 1. Sources are reporting that the 6 rebel MPs have already drafted and submitted a formal letter to the Lok Sabha Speaker officially stating their change of allegiance. Step 2. The Speaker then has to review this letter and verify if that two-thirds mathematical split is actually legally valid. And Step 3. If it gets approved, sources suggest we could see a formal announcement of a merger with Eknath Shinde Shiv Sena as early as June 21. So the craziest part is that the ultimate fate of this entire crisis basically rests in the hands of one single person. Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla. MP Arvind Sawant from the UBD faction has already preemptively urged the Speaker not to grant any recognition to this breakaway group. But there's a very recent precedent that really has the UBT camp sweating. Just days prior, on June 14, a group of 20 rebel Trinamool MPs successfully met with Speaker Om Birla to submit a letter about merging their group with a different party. So the mechanism for this exact kind of maneuver is fresh and actively being used.
Which leaves us with a massive, looming question. What will the Lok Sabha Speaker actually decide? Will he recognize the split, validating the Shinde camp's Operation Tiger, or will the UBT faction find some way to halt what they're calling Operation Betrayal? Whatever the decision is, it's going to fundamentally reshape the landscape of Maharashtra's democracy all over again. It's a gripping political thriller unfolding right before our eyes, and you now have the context to understand exactly how the math, the law, and the rhetoric are colliding. Keep your eyes on the news, because this earthquake is for sure far from over. Thank you for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.